What's going on, guys? My name is Brent, and in this video we're going to talk about the absolute best way to boost through Maraudon. Now, I've learned a lot of tips and tricks through other YouTubers and other members of this boosting community to put together what I feel is the absolute best pull in Maraudon currently. So first off, we're going to have the pull itself with all the tips and tricks annotated on screen, followed by all of our gear and consumables, and finally our talents. I'll put the links to the timestamps for those sections in the description below. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started, and thanks for watching. Okay, let's get started with this Maraudon pool. We start the pool at the Scepter entrance location. The reason we do that is because this is the closest entrance to where we start the Maraudon Mage 1 pool. Now, you can do this without the Scepter, but you would have to run all the way from the orange or the purple side to here. I don't recommend it. If you haven't done the quest, you can solo it at level 60. If you can't solo it, you may need to bring one other person, but that should be all it takes. Look the quest up online if you don't know the Maraudon Scepter quest. So, you want to get to this location. You're going to have Ice Barrier, Arcane Intellect, Ice Armor, and Dampen Magic up. You're going to rank 1 Frostbolt. Both of these first packs, all those spells that we use during this pool are rank 1 until we get to the kill phase. Rank 1 Arcane Explosion this pack. Now this pack can be either Arcane Explosion or Body Pulled if that mob is close enough. Blink directly across the bridge. Arcane Explosion this pack. Fire Blast one of the deep borers here. Pre-target one of these deep borers and spam cast counterspell until it hits, then run around this circle and blink. Now you can Ice Barrier there if you feel like you're gonna get hit too hard. Now, the goal here is to stay as close to this wall as possible. Otherwise, the mobs will catch up to you. You need to cast one more blink somewhere along this path that I'm showing you. I chose to do it right there. I recommend you do the same, and then stay as close to this wall as possible. If you keep casting blink, then your mana is not regening, and you only need to cast that one more blink to stay ahead of the mobs. Now we're staying, again, as close to this little turn as possible, and this is something that I've found that helps me a whole lot, gather all the mobs perfectly in a group. You stand right here at this rock. Once they get close, blink, and you can see this mob is coming this direction, these mobs are coming this direction, and they're all going to group right around this area. In fact, I'm going to go here. They'll group up right around here. So you can see that they're all grouped up really nicely. They're going to stop here because it's a little buggy area, which gives us a couple seconds to get far enough away from them. And then they'll restart their journey. Now we need to recast Ice Barrier soon. I typically cast it right around this tree because that's when, by the time it's back up, is right when we need it if we cast it around that tree. Now you're going to rank 1 Fire Blast this Cavern Lurker, and then rank 1 Nova all the slimes. Fire Blast ready for the Shambler here. Arcane Explosion this Lurker. And then Clinical those so they don't actually catch up to you and hit you. Fire Blast, Counterspell this Shambler, again running right around the ledge here. Ice Barrier is back up, so we recast it. Jump and Nova, pre-target that Shambler. Now, here's a mistake I see a lot of people make. I see a lot of people run up this ramp like that, but I know it doesn't look like it, but you can actually run like right here, okay? That allows you to get further ahead of these mobs so they don't attack you when you're coming around this ramp right here. So I recommend you go right through this section. You can see, running right through that section. Cone of Coal as many of those mobs as possible. Now they're far enough away that I can blink through these slimes, and those will pull by their friends as they come up the ramp. Now you want to Arcane Explosion right between these two packs here. Hopefully you hit them both. If not, you may need to Fire Blast one of them. I Fire Blast that lurker, and then Counterspell that Satyr. Blink immediately after the Counterspell. You can Nova these or you can Arcane Explosion, whatever you're feeling. You need to re-Ice Spear at some point right there. There. Fire Blast this mob. Blink over these sludges. And pull that Arcane Explosion the Stomper and jump down. We've completed the first section of the pools. Now in this section, this is where you can do a lot of different things. You can get your mana back or you can get your health back. You have time for a full evocation if your mana is really, really low. But if it's just half or like 40%, you got enough mana to complete the pool. If your health's low, you have time for a full bandage. So in my case, I'm going to bandage. Even though I don't need a bandage to full, I'm going to let the timer run out completely because that's just a good timing to continue. And it allows you to, it shows you that you can get the full bandage in there. Now the timing here is very important because we're going to run into a room with no escape other than running back towards the way we came. So we need to get at least one blink in here, right here. We're going to blink because that puts us ahead of that mob and close enough to this room where the timing is perfect. Now we're going to rank 1 Frostbolt each one of these packs, one time. If we didn't do that previous blink, our mobs would have caught up to us by now and maybe hitting us at this point. So it's very important. One thing to note about this room, it is very important that you try to stay along the archway here. Going in a direct path from right here over here is not a good move. Doing the arch allows the mobs to group themselves up without any kind of excess spells to be cast. So I encourage you to do that, and I'll show you how that rewards us here shortly. So I don't do it very well here, but I am trying to stay as close to the right side as possible and immediately blink. And now you can see, because I went around the long way around the wall and then I blinked, all these mobs now are going to be focused on a central location. You can see here that they're all coming at it from different angles, which means they're going to group themselves up. So let's continue. Arcane, so load this pack and jump off. You're going to want to turn your camera around, and right here on this stump right here, you're going to want to rank 1 Blizzard. The reason we do that is because all the mobs will run over that stump, and it kind of slows them down long enough to get hit by Blizzard perfectly, which means all the mobs gets hit by Blizzard. And you'll see that here. You want to wait for the entire channel to finish casting. Otherwise, the slimes may reset. So let the entire channel go through, and then try to get as hit by as many spells as possible so you can get some of that mana back and do a blink. Okay? 1 blink there. That's all you need. Don't spam it until the next blink that I show you. Now, Re-Ice Spear coming right through this tunnel here. And it is very important, that tunnel that we just ran through is got something scary to go on with. These mobs can hit through the ceiling of that tunnel. So if you are running along this section, when those mobs are underneath you, that means the mobs can hit you through the floor and basically one-shot you. So what you want to do is stop right here and blink across the tunnel. You don't have to stop, but just as you're running and you hit right at this point, you want to blink across that tunnel. Then those mobs that are below you will not be able to hit you. That's why we needed to save our blink. So let's do that here. Right around this section, we aim and blink. Rank 1 Blizzard that pack, and then immediately rank 1 Blizzard right on that ramp. Now, this section is where we use what we use to get our mana back. All the mobs here are feeding us mana, so we want as much time to stay here as possible, so keep rank 1ing Blizzards until they get too close where it's not convenient, and then you're going to switch the Blizzards from this pack over here to pool. So we're recharging our mana during this section of the pool. recharge to hit by as many mobs as possible from the range because they feed us mana. You can see here I'm full mana, full health at this point. Ice Nova, that pack. Pre-target that poison sprite. You're going to jump, turn around, and fire blast, blink, and stand right at this little corner. Turn around, and right here at this corner, you want to rank 1 blizzard. That allows the blizzards to hit all the mobs as they come around from here and come all the way towards you. Okay, so you want to rank 1 blizzard right at that corner. And let the mobs come. 1 full channel of blizzard is good enough. If they're too close to you, cancel the blizzard and jump off. You want to wait right till they're close to you and then immediately jump off. Re-ice barrier and blink. The mobs shouldn't be above that tunnel, but they can hit you if they are above it, so it's safe to just blink underneath that bridge there. We re-ice barrier. We have 4 stompers we need to pull here. We're going to do the first one right here with rank 1 Frostbolt. Arcane Explosion. And Counterspell. Immediately blink. Arcane Explosion. And I'll show you, you really need to do that room as fast as possible, get efficient doing it, because these mobs are coming for you. If you stay too long in this room and overstay your welcome, those mobs will be right here when you come out and pop you. Real nice. So make sure you do that room as fast as possible, blink out, and get ready for the next section of the pool. You can do Arcane Explosion, Fire Blast, whatever you want there. You can body pull, but after you do it, immediately blink. Nova that Stomper, we're lucky for the Satyr there, and then pull the second Satyr with Arcane Explosion. Now it's just a run and to get ahead of the mobs. Blink right here, spamming till you can get a little bit ahead, and we're going to run all the way to the previous room with all the Stompers in there and some Satyrs. We're going to finish pulling all of those mobs. This also is our last section to get our mana back, get our health back, and pick up any of the stragglers. So as we run by, just pick up anything that you see. You're going to run right off the edge here. Once you fall down, immediately blink and get right to this corner that I'm going to stand on. Turn around, rank 1 blizzard. Pre-target this Tangler right here if you can, because you're going to fire blast it. And then you're going to turn around, target that Satyr, and counterspell it. That pulls all that Satyr back. Arcane Explosion, this Tangler. Now there are 2 invisible Satyrs, one right here and one right here, which means you need to stand right around in this section, Arcane Explosion, to pull both of them. Blink and either body pull, Arcane Explosion. This is another section that you'll see that running around the outside edge here is more beneficial than running straight. It allows all the mobs to group up more, and you'll just have a better time grouping the mobs if you run a large arc through this section. So running around the wall, I'll show you once I jump down, you'll see how well the mobs group. That's an important blink right to this corner. You're going to get up here. You could bandage here, but I've got corruption on me, so I can't bandage. So just wait for your ice barrier and repop the ice barrier. It's important to regroup these mobs, but we don't want to like slow everything. We're going to wait. We're going to let it play for a second. You're going to rank 1 blizzard here, but you only want to blizzard the mobs that are really far in the lead, okay? You want them to get back into the center pack. So you can see I stopped the blizzard early because I got the mobs that I wanted, and now they're perfectly in the center of the pack. So now the mobs are all relatively grouped up. We're going to get one more chance in this next room to group everything up right how we like them. So in this room, as I mentioned earlier, you want to do a wide arch that allows everything after you blink to coalesce perfectly. And will require no more blizzards. I've re-upped my dampened magic here. We're running around the edge. I fire blast this one because I want him closer. And then blink. And here we go. This mob is coming from here. This mob is coming from here, and you can see their pathways are relatively straight, which means they're all coming at different angles, and they're all going to meet up right at this section, which is right where we want it. We want to head off this direction so that they keep coming at that angle rather than going straight into this room. As you'll see here in 1 second, I want you to run towards this wall and then turn, okay? That allows all those mobs to group up, jump off right there, and then we want to stay close to this wall. I want you guys to run this direction, not towards the ramp. For a little bit, you need to run this direction, and you'll see why here in just a second. We want to stay close to those mobs so they don't reset, and then immediately blink, one blink up to that ramp. That gives you the full distance blink. Make sure you have Mage armor up at this point for the extra resistance, and re-ice barrier right here. Want to do it right at that point because the recast timer on it will be perfect for our next section. Now this is the kill phase. The mobs, if I go back 10 seconds, the mobs are far enough behind us that we don't need to worry about blinking over the ramp this time. You can see there's no mobs back there, but if you feel more comfortable, feel free to blink if the mobs are close to you. So I just run across and I get in position. You can see there's a little section right here. You'll see it if you're actually practice here that you want to stand on. That's the perfect place because it allows you to jump on here, which is our second point. We're going to be spending a lot of time jumping from this point to this point, from this point to this point. And if this is your first time doing this pool, you should come in here before ever attempting the pool and just jump back and forth 10, 20, 30 times until you can do it flawlessly without falling. That's very, very important. So we want to stand right at this section. Back 10 seconds. Again, you can see this section right on the spot there. We want to rank 1 Blizzard, or we want to max rank Blizzard the moment we see any mobs break this barrier. Anytime a mob we see comes out of that, we want to make sure that our Blizzard is ready to max rank Blizzard right at that corner, okay? So let's hit play. I see the mobs coming and immediately have cast Blizzard. Now, the Blizzard is going to hit all the mobs as they come around. Some of them will get through, as you can see that Satyr got through. The next Blizzard, as soon as that Blizzard finishes, should be cast immediately right as the center point should be right on that lead mob. That allows the Blizzard to hit all this section, okay? So the center point of the second Blizzard should be on the lead mob. Now, all these mobs, we want to try to wait and hit all these mobs again before we move. Now, when we move, the reason that we're moving is because all these casters are knocking down our ice barrier. We want them to stop casting on us for just a little bit. But we want some of them to continue to cast. So we're going to move out of line of sight until most of them are up here with the rest of the mobs. Once most of them are up here, there'll still be 2 or 3 down here that those will continue to give us mana. So we'll move to the left. So we were right here. We move this direction. And we immediately cast another Blizzard with a center location right on this lead mob, okay? So those caster mobs are coming up the ramp. I see most of them have come up the ramp. And these stragglers down here, I want these stragglers to stay down there. So I want to get back into line of sight by jumping back onto our tree root. Now, you can see the majority of the casters are in our kill zone, which I'll put right here. And we have a few casters over here that are going to be casting for the entire time and giving us mana. This is our kill zone. From this point on, it's bounced from here to here to here to here, casting 1 blizzard every back and forth. Some people say you can cast 2 on the down slope and 1 on the up slope. I find it just as easy to do whatever works, so whatever is convenient. So we're casting blizzard. We want to let the full channel cast here, even though that mob's coming down, okay? Immediately jump up, back up to the side, and cast another blizzard right in that lead mob, okay? See, we still have some of the casters casting on us, which is good. Now, the mobs are starting to die at this point, so we can basically stay here because we see all the mobs start dying. I think we do, no, yeah, we just keep casting at this point. So all the mobs are dying, so we can keep the blizzard close to the lead mob. The mob's pathing here goes back and forth quite a bit, so you can kind of just keep them in this section with blizzards if they're really close to dying. So that's what I recommend. If they get too far down, just jump back up on the ledge. And that is the basic Maraudon Mage 1 pull. Okay guys, let's talk about the Mage spec we'll be using in Maraudon. 2 really important talents that we need are Ice Barrier. The reason we need this is we're going to be taking a lot of damage from hitting the mobs and during the pull, and Ice Barrier helps absorb all that damage, as well as during the kill phase. We don't want to be interrupted by the casters while we're blizzarding, so Ice Barrier is a necessity. The other one is Magic Absorption. We need this for not only the resistances, but because when we do resist those casters during the kill phase and during the pull, throughout the pull, it gives us mana back. So it basically keeps our mana at 100% almost throughout the entire pull and kill phase. So in order to get that, let's start with the Arcane tree. We need 2 of 2 Arcane Subtlety. This decreases our resist chance against mobs. And then 3 of 5 Arcane Focus just to get to the next section of the tree. We need 5 of 5 Magic Absorption. This returns 5% of our total mana every time we get a resist. And then we're going to put 3 of 5 Arcane Concentration, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then 1 of 1 Arcane Resilience. This helps a little bit in Maraudon, but it also helps a lot in some of the lower level dungeons. Now let's go down our Frost tree. We're going to put 3 of 3 Elemental Precision, and 2, this decreases the chance for mobs to resist our spells, and 2 of 2 in Frost Warding. It doesn't really help us here, but it does help us in Shadow Monastery Cathedral, so I use that same build. Now, I go 2 of 2 Improved Frost Nova, 3 of 3 Permafrost. I go 5 of 5 Ice Shards, 3 of 3 Piercing Ice. Of course, we need Cold Snap just in case. Improved Blizzard is an absolute must. Arctic Reach, 2 of 2. Frost Channeling, 3 of 3. Decreases the cost of our blizzards. 5 of 5 Shatter. Again, we don't really use this in Shatter in Maraudon, but it's used in some of the other pulls that I do with the same spec. Improved Cone of Cold, 3 of 3. Ice Block, 1 of 1. And our Ice Barrier. So some of these you don't really use in Maraudon, but you'll use in other AoE pools like Scarlet Monastery rather, and Cathedral and Armory, as well as some of the lower level dungeons like Shadowfang Keep and RFC. So with that said, that is the classic Mage spec for the Maraudon 1 pool. Okay guys, let's talk about it. Let's talk about gear. There's no way getting around it. When you look at me, you obviously see that I'm geared. So we're going to talk about the gear I'm currently using and gear that you can use to get through Maraudon. So let's first go down the gear that I am currently using. I have 6-piece Arcanist, Star of Mystaria, Arcanist Mantle, Fireproof Cloak. Important thing here is 5 to all resistances. Put it on whatever cloak you got, it'll help. Arcanist Robe, you can put 100 health or 100 mana on there. Either one of those is fine. Arcanist Bindings, the enchant, 7 intellect, optional. Hypnotic Flame Gloves. This is basically just for the int and stamina. I don't use fire spells at all, so optional. Banthok Sash, great item. Arcanist Leggings, don't need an enchant. Arcanist Boots, 100% must have minor speed increase, period. Whatever boots, gray boots, anything you want, gotta put minor speed increase on there, otherwise you will not complete Maraudon. Cyclopean Band, Eye of Org, Briar Wood Reed, Eye of the Beast, Wand of Biting Cold from AV, Fire Ruined Grimoire for intellect and stamina, and Mage Blade. Now that is obviously relatively strongly geared. I did not start doing Maraudon with this much gear. I started in basically greens and blues from dungeons and had absolutely no problem. If you've already watched the video, you'll know that I ended the run with like 85 to 90% health and mana. Mana and HP is not an issue here if you play correctly. So let me show you some items that you can have. Resist rings, intellect or a nature resist on both your rings. I used to run this for the longest time. I just removed it because I really don't need it. And as you can see, I'm 15 nature resistance. If I put on mage armor, I'm at 30 nature resistance. That's enough. Some people say stack nature resistance. You don't need it if you play correctly. You can Grove Keeper's Drape, nature resistance on there if you want it. A very good item if you can't obviously get Azure Blade and a good offhand. Cheap, about 100 gold, glowing bright wood staff. This has nature resistance, intellect, stamina, very important. You can also put the plus 22 intellect enchant on there if you want. This skyrockets your mana through the roof, so that's an awesome item. Basically, any items I have here, absolutely any of them, can be replaced with Of the Eagle gear. Intellect and stamina are the most important stats when pulling Maraudon. You need enough mana to pull all the mobs by casting level 1 rank spells and keeping your Ice Barrier up. And you need enough health that you don't get killed before your next Ice Barrier is up. That is it for the gear. You don't need any epic gear. You need green gear. You could do this completely green geared out. In fact, I one day will show you a run without any gear at all, and I'm pretty sure I can do that. So with that said, let's move on to consumables. Bandages, high priority. Make sure you have some bandages. I only carry around heavy Mage Weave because Mage Weave drops in Maraudon and it's super easy to use. If you got Ruin Cloth, use the Ruin Cloth. Heavy or regular Ruin Cloth bandages will be fine. Superior healing potions. These are good to have in case you get hit by too many mobs with your Ice Barrier down. You don't need the major ones. They're too expensive. You can get these for 10 silver a pop, or you can just loot them from Maraudon and use the ones that you loot. Super cheap. You have a ton of them. No problems there. Nature protection potions. If for some reason during the kill phase you screw up your rotation and too many of the caster mobs are hitting you and break your Ice Barrier down, you'll want to be able to pop a nature protection potion. That allows you to stop any pushback from the casters while they're casting on you. So if a whole group stays at the bottom and they're just railing on you, just pop a nature resistance potion and you're immune basically to all that damage until you can kill the major packs. So also very important. I've already said going over the resistance gear, and then I've never actually used this, but I can see it being beneficial in case you do need it and you get too close to some mobs. You can pop this swiftness potion and this is just basically a get out of jail free card. I've never used it. I've never used any limited invulnerability potions. Not necessary at all. So with that said, that's your gear and consumables.